In the past 7 years, since I left the corporate life of an accountant, I traveled the world in search for experiences, friendships, and answers. I started off as an English teacher and shared some special memories with good friends and happy children. I then pursued the monastic life as a Buddhist monk in Taiwan and learned the ancient Buddhist teachings from great masters and teachers. After 2 years, I decided to continue my journey into Thailand, where I met the love of my life and we established a school together to spread the joys of learning to hundreds of students. Now I'm back in Australia where it all began, but this time full of inspiration, experience, and a greater sense of purpose. In my travels, I learned one truth, that everyone has something special to live for and a worthy message to share. My purpose is to reveal the treasure within us all and to show how precious life truly is. Join me on my podcast, and together, let's shine mindfulness into the beautiful lives of everyday people. Let's go! Hi everyone, I'm Byron from Mindfulness Podcast, where we shine mindfulness into the beautiful lives of everyday people. And today I've invited my very good friend Tan to come and share his life journey and experiences so that we can all live and learn vicariously through them. How's it going, Tan?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on. It's we've had to postpone this a couple of times, but I'm glad to finally get it done.
Yeah, awesome. And so as always, to set the context for the rest of the podcast, I'm going to introduce you to the viewers and then you can add on what I've missed. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So I met Tan a bit over 10 years ago, and what stood out about Tan was his unique values, his positive attitude, and his overall confidence and charisma. And it's been so amazing to see how that's manifested over the years. Tan graduated with a business degree and started working at the Australian Tax Office in his early careers. And it didn't take long for him to realize that working in finance and corporate wasn't in alignment with his values. So he decided to do a complete 180 and work in a completely different industry, which is support work for youth experiencing challenging times. After catching up with Tan a few months ago, I just had to bring him on to share his journey and experiences because his stories were so touching and inspiring that I thought anyone hearing this would also appreciate and benefit from his unique perspectives. What makes Tan so special is his dedication to living in alignment with his values. Tan has strong character, he's very kind and compassionate, and he will most certainly continue to touch the lives of those he meets and works with. And that's the Tan that I know. But now it's your turn, my friend. How would you describe yourself and what you do?
You're too kind in your words. I would love to sort of describe myself as just a very average person. My parents were refugees from the Vietnam War, and coming over here, they provided well for me and my brothers. I have three other brothers, and we just stuffed around, played video games. Went to school, university. It's all very stock standard. I think my life was, because it was so normal. I feel like that's what makes me so lucky, right?
Nice.
Because of that, I feel sort of a need or responsibility to give back, and that's sort of what has led me to youth work, where I work at a crisis refuge for youth ages 13 to 15. They're usually at risk of being homeless or kicked out of home because of like family relationship breakdowns. So if they need a place to stay, and they stay at our refuge. And these refuges, it's kind of funny, like people think it must be some like institution somewhere or something, but it's literally just a house that you have out on the street. And the organization, the non-for-profits, rent houses anywhere in the community. They'll let the kids stay there with other kids that don't have a place to go. And as a youth worker, we'll come in and essentially act as a carer guardian for them. We will wake them up for school, cook them dinner, drive them to their appointments, make their appointments, help them fill out their Centrelink forms, and just teach them basic life skills that they need to as well, like how do you do the laundry, how do you do the dishes. Not all of them want to learn, but when they ask, we're very happy to show them. So you're kind of just acting as a part-time guardian whenever you're on shift, to be honest. It's a pretty straightforward job, not too complicated.
Wow. And so because they're so young, 13 to 15 years old, how long do they stay in the refuge and how close do you end up getting with them? because of that role model I feel like they would need in their life.
Yeah. So our crisis refuge, they do aim to have them there for a 3 month window. However, a lot of them stay for much longer than that. So our organization, they have another house for 16 to 18-year-olds. So say, for example, they're going to be turning 16 in around 9 months. They'll keep them on until they turn 16 and then move them on to the older house where they can stay a bit longer. So on average, we probably have our young people for around, I'd say, 7 months, I'd say, give or take. Some less, some more. And yeah, so during that time, you are able to build a pretty good rapport, or at least you try to, and hopefully have an impact on their lives while they're there with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, nice. Is it encouraged to become very involved with their lives? Just because I feel like they would require that emotional bonding or that emotional support, and you being the guardian, how is there a boundary between how close you can get or how involved in their lives you can be?
Um, I guess they've never, or like, yeah, through training, there's definitely lines you can't cross. But ultimately, just think of, actually, that's a good question.
Because there's just such young children, they're so vulnerable, and
Yeah,
you want to be there for them
yeah, no,
to
exactly,
support them.
exactly. I think, yeah, in terms of, say, if they're having a crisis where they might have received bad news about a family member or something like that, and they're getting really emotional, you just want to be there for them. In that, in our training, they essentially teach us that it's just already a powerful thing for you to literally to be there with them,
Mm,
and that's it.
mm,
Like, you don't even have to say anything, do
mm,
anything, but literally having another human being there during a very difficult time
mm,
can be really beneficial.
mm,
Um, and I guess in terms of like lines you can't cross, so like there's no physical touching.
mm,
I think that's very important because well, yeah, I guess the industry, because they're such vulnerable young people, like some people can take advantage of that. So
mm,
that's definitely a very clear line. But in terms of just acting as a carer, just imagine what a parent would do, I think.
yeah.
Um, and you essentially have a job description of what
Mm,
we do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, what are the key values that are important to you to have decided that this is the line of work you want to invest your time and energy in?
Yeah.
Because I feel
So
like support work is not something that everyone dreams up to become and work in.
yeah, I'll give you the long form answer in that. Yeah, so you touched on it where I was working at the ATO. I did a business degree, and I remember I knew from the first week of my grad program where like I was on the computer all day, and I just thought, man, am I doing this for the next 30, 40 years of my life, you know? And yeah, I went through a pretty early midlife crisis,
Yeah.
and yeah, just going, I guess reflection and even finding myself on the internet. I was on Reddit, and one of the a book recommendation that came up was the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
Mm,
And I guess the main 2 points that really sort of touched me from that book was the idea of reflecting on our own mortality,
mm,
um, and also, yeah, just coming to the realization of the impermanence of everything. Like
mm,
nothing, literally nothing is forever.
mm,
No matter how solid it is,
mm,
even this table will be dust at some point.
mm,
And yeah, that really got me to reconsider what I find important in my life.
mm,
And what I found was, if everything's impermanent, then that means literally our human conscious experience is the only thing that matters.
mm,
And I want to maximize the best moments for anyone that I can help.
wow.
And that's sort of what led me into youth work. Um, I first started volunteering actually out in Bankstown for our after school program,
Wow.
and I just fell in love with it.
Wow.
So there were year 6 boys. They're sort of like the naughty boys of the classes, and our mentoring program was essentially trying to help them transition into high school. And yeah, that program, we were just mucking around, like playing sports and stuff. You do, yeah, activities, learning about regulating emotions and stuff. But that face-to-face human interaction was so much better for my soul. Like I'd come home just feeling a lot better, and I
Yeah.
just thought to myself, why don't I get paid for this?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I was speaking about it before, how at the ATO, people are literally just numbers, on the screen for me. And that's one of the most dehumanizing things that you can do to someone. Is just
Yeah.
they're just a number,
Yeah.
I mean, at times I would go out to do audit interviews, but even then, like I remember that. I do remember there was this one audit where I made a lady cry, because she hadn't been lodging her BAS, her business account statements. And then yeah, she was speaking about how her father had passed away. She was getting through that, and I'm there on the other side of the table, and I thought, wow, like, am I the one that's making her cry here? Like, I feel like such a shit human being, that I'm the reason that someone's having like sort of a breakdown. um and yeah, so I guess I kind of went sort of 180, where instead of being the punitive part of the system, I'm trying to be the therapeutic part,
Wow.
which really aligned a lot more with my values, I think.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice. Now that you've got this newfound appreciation for our mortality, impermanence of life, and wanting to have an impact on human consciousness,
Mm.
what type of intention and energy do you bring to your work and your daily life?
Yeah, thinking about my own mortality, it helped me become more empathetic, because you come to the realization of other people's mortality.
Mm,
Like, we're all gonna die at some point,
mm,
That helped me put myself in other people's shoes,
mm,
in that everyone has a life, everyone's gonna die,
mm,
but that means that everyone has their own life journey as well.
mm,
So in my work, you work with young people that have quite challenging or complex behaviors,
mm,
and I guess um, on the surface, it's very easy to just view a kid doing property damage or throwing a plate across the room as, oh, they're a naughty kid, or they're
mm,
an angry kid, and that's
mm,
it.
mm,
With our work, you have to really think about the life journey that they've been on, and the
mm,
trauma, especially
mm,
the trauma that they've experienced in the past
mm,
leading up to. I mean, that's why they're there, right?
mm,
Like, they're essentially homeless.
mm,
So their
mm,
family life isn't the best. So being understanding and caring um, about, yeah, where they've come from, and then hopefully helping them getting through those really tough times
mm.
through care and nurturing, rather than, like, um, it's instinctual for a lot of us to be sort of that angry parent, like, hey, put that down, like, what do you think you're doing?
Mm,
um, but that will only escalate a lot of these kids,
mm,
understandably, like, with
mm,
a lot of the authority figures that they've had in their life have
mm,
been, very abusive. So they would fight back.
mm,
So in our line of work, you have to be therapeutic in your approach,
mm,
and make them feel heard and seen. And you do that by, yeah, I can really see that you're angry. Like, what's made you angry? So you're trying to
mm,
find the story behind that
mm.
emotion. Whereas in the past, in their family home, they would have just gotten a smack on the face, and
Yeah,
that's it. Like, go to your room.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
The role of empathy plays a very key role in the line of work that you do. And how have you been able to transfer empathy and this quality into everyday life? Because I feel like it's very easy to just go through life judging people by their behaviors, by
Mm,
their aesthetics, but not really, but just stopping there. Whereas empathy helps us have a deeper appreciation to the backstory, to
mm,
who they truly are and the why.
yeah.
And so how has empathy impacted your day to day life outside of work?
Yeah, I think, well, like, I'm very lucky in that my work helped me, I guess, build my empathy, right?
Mm,
And so not only am I just applying it to my clients, or my young people, I use that now for pretty much everyone in my life, my family, friends, but especially strangers as well. I guess strangers to us can be very, it's very easy to just view the surface level
Yeah.
of what they're doing. So, um, yeah, if someone cuts you off on the street, you just think, oh, they're a dickhead, or they
Yeah.
don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
But now me and my wife Michelle, we kind of joke around, just saying, oh, he must really need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just trying to see the story behind certain behaviors.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so trying to just apply that through my life generally, rather than just at my work.
Mm.
But that's what I think makes me so lucky, is that
Mm.
I have a job that helps me live a better life, sort of thing.
Mm. Nice.
Yeah.
And so, for people that are very interested in working in support work, or maybe they just want to understand more deeply the way your lifestyle, what are the overall feelings and emotions that you experience day to day?
Yeah, so I kind of just touched on it there, where I do feel very thankful
Mm.
about having a job that really aligns with my work. A lot of people, when I tell them the stories that I go through, they a lot of the times they think, oh man, how do you do that? Like that's crazy, or you know, um, but it's kind of funny, like I do it for my own self-interest, out of
Mm.
my own selfishness.
Mm.
I originally didn't like working at the ATO. I hated
Mm.
it. So because I hate that feeling, then I want to find something better for myself.
Mm.
And it just so happened to be youth work.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, in Dan Harris's book 10% Happier, he kind of talks about being selfish wisely.
Mm.
And yeah, I really really sort of bought into that. Or it just really made sense for me.
Yeah.
Us humans, we're evolved over millions of years, where being kind to each other actually like releases like serotonins and endorphins or whatever
Mm.
in our brains. It makes us feel better. So we're
Yeah.
wired to not only help each other, but to receive benefit from it.
Mm. Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that's incredible. And yeah, why not sort of tap into that?
Mm.
And obviously my work is a really great example where I can really apply that as much as
Mm.
possible. But in saying that, it's not always easy. Sometimes, yeah, like if I'm I guess some of the kids tell you to F off, or
Mm.
like start screaming at you or throw things across the room. In that moment, I'm not getting bliss from that. um, but I think trying to handle the situation as best I can, and hopefully they come out of the crisis feeling safe and
Mm.
secure. Um, then I come home feeling good about the day,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. So feeling thankful, and I'm sure you feel good helping people and providing the safe space for the children to just be.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think being able to do this work and coming home feeling fulfilled, why would I not be thankful for that? Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm incredibly lucky to have a job where I'm not like regretting, like I'm not dreading getting into work and waking up.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll come into work and I'm watching movies and TV with them,
Yeah.
like
Wow.
it definitely has good moments as well. I guess I do get into the habit of sharing stories with my friends, the way shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
and they get the wrong idea about what the work actually
Mm.
is like.
Mm.
Most of the time it is actually just chilling out and trying to be just a good role model for the
Mm.
young person.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so, working with so many children that have gone through so much trauma and unfortunate situations, what were the key challenges and adversities you've had to overcome to be at the level where you are now, able to serve and support other people?
So, to be honest, with my life, I've been so lucky, so privileged to have parents that worked incredibly hard, and they started a successful furniture business. And me and my three other brothers, we never had no food in the house, so we're always fed, and yeah, water was always running. It's just yeah, we it's kind of funny though. Like I grew up actually thinking that we were poor, but it was just that my parents were tight asses. It's very typical Vietnamese parents.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, like now, so me and my brothers, we did piano lessons, um, and we went to Vietnamese school on the weekends. They made us do tennis lessons as well.
Wow.
And yeah, I went to a Catholic school in Fairfield as well, and mate, all of that cost money.
Yeah.
So looking back on it, like yeah, my parents had enough funds to provide for us, um, and I think yeah, growing up in such a very very privileged sort of life, I feel like I owe it to sort of the world to give back. Like I've lived such a lucky life, and that there's people out there that haven't had the same, and I would love to be able to help them in any way that I can, to hopefully that they can reach their potential. Yeah.
Wow.
But it will be very very hard for me to be able to complain about much of my life. I mean, I think. I mean, we've spoken about it before about how everyone has their own trauma, and I think a small thing for me is that our dad used to get the wooden spoon out or something like that. But I guess we normalize that, in that it's very common especially in the Asian cultures as well, to have a bit of corporal punishment. But I do think that stuff can be traumatizing as well. But that's kind of small fish compared to what some of the kids that I look after have gone through.
Do you think that's what it is after working with so many children in such worse off situations, has that given you more perspective to appreciate how good you've had it? Whereas before that, because I feel like a lot of people might have a lot better situations than you, but still feel like it's not enough, or still feel like lacking somewhere.
No, for sure, for sure. I think, I mean, but it's sort of natural, I think, because it's sort of, what other reference point do you
Yeah,
have?
exactly.
Everyone living their life thinks that their life is normal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I guess in my work, and reading a lot of the our young people sort of referrals that come in, and where they've come from, like man, like a lot of the abuse and stuff that's happened in the past, it definitely just makes me like not only like feel sorry for them in a way, but I want to feel empathetic for them, but it helps me understand why they have the complex and challenging behaviors, because I would be exactly like them if I lived their life. I mean, even as a kid, I was a normal sort of bratty, selfish kid sometimes. So why wouldn't I be displaying the exact same behaviors if I had been like sexually abused growing up? So it's hard for me to get angry and not be thankful of my upbringing when I can see how bad it can be. Yeah.
Working with such troubled children that have experienced so much trauma, what would you say is the key insight from experiencing so much of these adversities and challenges that these children, young children, 13 to 15, have had to experience? What are the key insights?
In terms of, yeah.
Would it be like we have to be mindful of how we treat the children, because we don't know how what we perceive as small actions might have over like in their upbringing?
Oh, definitely. So that definitely comes up in training, where something what we view as normal or not a big deal can be really triggering for a young person. Like even for a young person, one of them has they're very very fussy eater, so they'll only eat either potato chips that they make themselves, or Macca's. So for me, I can view it as, oh man, like this kid is just so weird or messed up or something. it can even be an annoyance for me, because like sometimes we have to try and cook for them as well. They're wanting to eat very certain foods. That behavior comes from trauma. It's because they feel like they have little of control over their lives, that what they eat is essentially one of the very, very few things that they can control. And they keep it to a very, very narrow view of what they can eat. But that's all stems from trauma that they've experienced in the past. So yeah, that's just an example of how
Yeah.
it can affect or develop into behaviors.
Yeah, wow, nice.
Yeah.
And so, currently, with your work in supporting the youth, what are the present challenges that you're experiencing that you have to sort of manage as you go?
Yeah, like being human, when you're having a incident at work where a kid might get escalated, you have to be very self-aware how you come across, only because it's very easy for you to escalate the situation. Again, as we spoke about before, if you come in as very sort of authoritative, or you're shouting, you're raising your voice, you could be aggressive in your body language, it could get them to escalate very quickly. And so you always have to remain calm. And that's not always easy when shit's hitting the fan, sort of thing. Being more disciplined in my like meditation, mindfulness practice, is definitely one of the things I'm trying to work on, because it allows me, if I'm the best version of myself, it allows me to I guess provide the best work at work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
for my young people.
Nice. And so now we pivot to the final segment, which is more positive and hopeful. What are the things that you are looking forward to in the future that give you that excitement and that drive and energy?
I mean, something I'm looking forward to is we both got married earlier this year. I got married in February. I think you were only like a week after, right?
Yeah, February as well.
And yeah, I guess what comes with that is the discussion of having a kid, and that definitely really sort of yeah, it excites me in a way that bringing up a human child where yeah, you are their guardian, their carer, but they're their teacher. And I'd love to see how a person would turn out when they have the tools that I use today, but from a very young age. Like how would a person turn out if they brought up in a family home where death isn't a taboo subject, where like you never talk about it or discuss it, but yeah, like you speak about mortality as a truth, like it will happen one day, something that you have to accept, but it helps you really yeah, cherish the time that you have, right?
Yeah.
And how would that affect a young person? Yeah, it'll be interesting. And also, yeah, like meditation, I think is such a powerful tool. And how that would help a young person, I guess, navigate life. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, with your experience and insights from support work, how would you think you'd have to manifest yourself to become the best father to give your child the best upbringing and education?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you just have to be the best version of yourself, right? I think right now I'm
Wow.
probably not that.
Mm.
I spend too much time like on Reddit or on the news and stuff. I think especially jumping on the news. I've been doing that for, I don't know, like the past 10, 15, 20 years, whatever. You want to try to stay informed, but
Yeah.
it gets to the point where it's almost damaging, because my worldview becomes a bit more negative. I become a bit more apathetic, and that's the opposite of what I'm trying to achieve in terms of my work, where I'm trying to care for people, I'm trying to be more hopeful, trying to give them hope.
Yeah, yeah.
it's it's a bit of a turn off when your carer is coming in all depressed and you know what I mean, bit of a downer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just being more disciplined in how I spend my time and my attention. So definitely cutting that out a bit more, but also being more disciplined with meditation as well. So it's been maybe like a month or two where I haven't been meditating. A little bit of that comes from not having a space at home. So right now we're doing renovations at home. So I don't have a space where I can put up my yoga mat and just have a space for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Just to build on that, like, what is the importance of mindfulness and meditation in being like a good role model, being a good father, being the best version of yourself? What's the importance of mindfulness and meditation?
yeah. So well, for me, it definitely helps me be more calm and more empathetic. So it's very easy in life when you're running around, doing the shopping and working. Just you're always on edge. So meditation really lets you kind of take a step back and just focus on the breath, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it also puts things in perspective, I think, as well for me. It's very easy to get caught up in life. Um, but meditation and mindfulness helps you to be in the present moment, to make the most of it. Because I guess with your own mortality, you realize how limited time can be. So why not make the most of the time that we have? And I
Yeah.
think to do that, you're enjoying the time with your friends, family, and even the bad moments. Like you it's just helps you sort of be appreciative of the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And so, through all your experiences in support work and your spiritual journey and your personal development, what would you say is the key insight to summarize everything that you'd like to share with the viewers to give them the most benefit? What's the key insight in all your journey and experience right now so far?
I think the main thing that I'd love to share is just how trauma affects us all. So there's I guess there's that argument about nature versus nurture. So with my work, I think it really depends on nurture, like what your life experiences and how you're brought up, which determines who you are. Um, and so applying that through your day-to-day life, where instead of just judging people about the behaviors that they might be displaying, kind of ask yourself, I don't know, what sort of brought that on. What sort of shitty day must they have had been to push past you in the shopping center.
Yeah,
Like they must
yeah,
have had a tough life.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
someone that's happy with themselves, with their life, wouldn't be treating others that badly.
So just being more empathetic, more open-minded,
Yeah.
being more forgiving.
Yeah. I mean, someone that is outwardly angry or hateful, I think that's a reflection of how they feel about themselves, right? Someone that is very comfortable and happy with themselves wouldn't be reacting that way. So,
Yeah.
so just kind of think about what sort of life would they have lived to feel that sort of badly about themselves, or the world as well. So it
Yeah.
must have been pretty tough, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we could all have that mindset, we'd be a lot more forgiving, a lot more understanding, a lot less judgmental. Because a lot of the times, you're right, like we're just expressing what we're feeling on the inside, and if we're just being mean and angry and rude, maybe we're going through our own internal trauma.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to be fair, it's not easy to apply that like 24/7. Like I said, it's a very human or reactive instinct to just judge people from what you see on the surface. So it's sort of like a skill similar to meditation, that you build and that you learn.
Nice. So thanks again, Tan, for coming onto the show, sharing your experiences in support work. I think it's so interesting to understand the other side, or the inside of the children's lives that are experiencing trauma and their homelessness at such a young age. Thanks again. What are the final words you want to share with us before we finish the podcast for today?
When you talk about like trauma and how like stuffed up people can be, it's very easy to become apathetic yourself.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be in this job if I wasn't hopeful for the world. And the world is, I think, leading to a better place in that human rights, animal rights, LGBTQ rights are all sort of heading towards a more empathetic view. Like, hey, these
yeah.
animals are conscious. They
Yeah.
have feelings. They feel pain.
Yeah.
So we should put up laws to protect them. So a lot of these stuff has only come up in like the past 50, 100 years. So a lot's changed between even from like our generation, from our parents' generation. So who knows what humanity could be capable of in the next 50, 100 years.
So just be hopeful, be positive, things will get better.
No, that's it. I feel like we're mostly in the right direction. And like society will make a couple of mistakes here and there, but why should we expect society to be perfect as well? It needs to make mistakes to learn from them as well.
Nice,
right?
nice.
Similar to us.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's again, Tan. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you guys next time. Bye for now. Have fun, brother. That was awesome.